Marvel Studios' Black Panther is now playing in theaters around the world, and it's proving to be a huge success both critically and commercially. But that's not to say it doesn't have some problems. For example, in the mid-credits scene when T'Challa addresses the UN about Wakanda's true nature, there's a Welsh flag, which would suggest Wales is a separate nation to the United Kingdom. Uh-oh.
Are you finished?
There are other issues more related to the plot, however, and that's what we're going to look into in this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's the best way of keeping up to date with all of Screen Rant's great new content. And during the video, can you count how many times Kevin Feige randomly appears? Stick around until the end to find out if you counted correctly. Look, there's absolutely no denying how brilliant and groundbreaking Black Panther is, but we certainly have some questions about some of its plot holes, so let's get started. The first question relates to one of the first scenes in the movie, in the museum in London. Killmonger was only working with Klaue to use his corpse to get into Wakanda, so what was the point in going to that museum to steal the Wakandan item? Surely he could have just killed Klaue and taken him to the fictional nation, and for that matter, why let Klaue go off to South Korea, get captured, and then have to bust him out of a CIA safe house? He could have saved him a lot of hassle and negated the need to kill his own girlfriend if he'd just killed Klaue to begin with. More to the point, how did the museum heist go so well? Klaue left behind a number of bodies and left without anyone having raised the alarm. That museum should have been surrounded by police, and the ambulance Klaue escaped in should have been seen pulling out from the alley behind the museum and pursued. It was all very convenient. And how exactly did Killmonger know that the Wakandan item in the museum was from Wakanda in the first place? There was literally no reason for him to be able to know that. I guess maybe there's some kind of markings or something that somebody with his background might be able to recognize. But who knows? There's also a question regarding how he got to Wakanda. It makes sense that he would know more about it than most people thanks to his father's journals and so forth, but he knew exactly how to gain access to the country, which simply doesn't make sense. And it was incredibly convenient that he handed over Klaue's body to someone whose response would stir up the most trouble. By the way, what's up with Klaue's aging process? In the movie's flashback scenes in 1992, T'Chaka and Shuri look like considerably younger men than they do a quarter of a century later, but Klaue's barely changed in that time. He had a little less gray hair in 92, but that was really the only difference. Also, given that Killmonger's motive in the movie was his father N'Jobu being killed by T'Chaka, why didn't T'Chaka remove N'Jobu's corpse from his apartment after he killed him? Not doing so ensured that young Eric would find his corpse and see the Panther Claw wounds and, as a result, know who murdered him. The next questions relate to the movie's main setting, Wakanda. Given that vibranium is the source of all their wealth, where and how are they getting all that money from? If they don't trade with other countries, and bearing in mind that other countries don't even know they possess vibranium in the first place, who's providing them with their wealth? And how have they remained so hidden? They clearly have access to the same internet as everybody else. Shuri's reference to the "what are those" meme made that clear. Ugh. That was awkward. So, how hasn't the access to the internet been noticed, logged, and checked out? S.H.I.E.L.D. clearly had them on their radar back in 2010's Iron Man 2. Their map of notable locations around the world was proof of that, so it's a mystery as to why they haven't previously been outed. On a related note, what on earth was T'Challa thinking when he left his tech out in the field? Wakanda is impeccably secretive. Yet when T'Challa stopped the Nigerian militia at the beginning of the movie, he left vibranium tech on their cars. Then later in the movie in South Korea, he left several pieces of tech just laying around that anybody could discover and study. If that kind of thing was a regular occurrence, how on earth did Wakanda manage to remain hidden from the outside world? I guess they probably have some sort of cleanup crew. Who do you think works on the Wakandan cleanup crew? Are they just regular Joes or a special squad? It's also a mystery as to why Wakandans speak English. They were never colonized, and it's safe to assume that most of the people in the country have never left it. They even have their very own language. So how the heck have they managed to acquire English as one of their two main languages? Obviously, as we previously mentioned, the country must have internet access, but that doesn't explain why their entire population has been fluent for several generations. That's not to say they would be incapable of learning English. It's more a matter of Wakandan would probably be a more efficient, futuristic language than English. Something better, something more efficient. Going back to that fight with the Nigerian militia, why did the Wakandans just abandon the women they saved from said Nigerians? Okoye told the women to return home and speak nothing of the events they just saw, essentially leaving them to traverse thick, dangerous jungles in the middle of the night, even though there was plenty of room in the Wakandan ship, which they could have used to at least take them a little closer to home. Going back to the events in Korea, given that King T'Chaka spearheaded the Sokovia Accords, aren't the actions of T'Challa, Okoye, and Nakia completely contradicting Wakanda's supposed support of them? Their actions in Korea were no better than those of the Avengers in terms of spilling blood on foreign soil and taking things into their own hands. Shouldn't they be held accountable for their actions as well? And given that the casino in Korea was meant to be a secret, what was Claude doing turning up with an entourage and a convoy of black SUVs? Wasn't that just a bit of a giveaway? And remember how Nakia's entire car disintegrated in the big chase in Korea, yet she was sent scooting down the road in an entirely undamaged driver's seat. Wasn't that a nice coincidence? I mean, Shuri could have designed some kind of vibranium roll cage or something. More than anything, it was the fact that Nakia was still somehow holding on to the steering wheel. How loosely was that thing bolted on? We'd also love to know how vibranium can do everything that it's shown to be able to do. It's an amazing metal, sure, but it's just a metal. How on earth did it heal Everett Ross's wounds and paralysis in a day, for example? Shuri explained it off as a function of vibranium, but how? That bit was conveniently left out. Speaking of Shuri, how has there been enough time to conceive and implement all of her ideas? We know she's a genius, but she's only 16. She can't have been in charge of Wakanda's R&D department for more than a few years, yet she's been able to design and oversee the construction of an entire high-speed rail system. That alone would have needed a decade to construct. Are we expected to believe that she'd invented it by the time she was 6 years old? Who knows, maybe there just isn't as much red tape to Wakandan engineering projects. Oh, and Shuri also said that the footwear on T'Challa's armor made his footsteps completely silent. So why is it that his footsteps can be heard throughout the movie when he's wearing it? The impact of his feet is audible both during fight scenes and when he's simply walking around. That to me screams like a miscommunication between the Foley people and the script department. And what about T'Challa surviving that fall during his first fight against Killmonger? It wasn't as though he had the powers granted by the heart-shaped herb to increase his durability. He'd very specifically had them removed and was just a normal human at the time. Even though he fell into water, the distance he plummeted and the way he hit the water with the broadside of his body should have turned him into heart-shaped jelly. Straight up. Speaking of T'Challa's fall, how was he subsequently kept alive by snow? M'Baku said he was in a coma and that removing him from the snow would have killed him within moments. What the heck was that all about? Cooling a body will restrict blood flow, of course, but there's no reason it should have kept T'Challa alive. Oh, right, it was probably some kind of vibranium-infused snow or something like that. Questions will also have to be asked about why Nakia only grabbed one heart-shaped herb to take to M'Baku when Killmonger was set to burn them all. Those herbs are extremely important to Wakanda, and she had a very clear and easy chance to grab at least a couple. The fact that she would only grab one really makes no sense at all. Oh, and finally, if the Jabari tribe are vegetarians like M'Baku suggested, why do they have fishermen? And what are they doing wearing fur? Nah, just kidding. We actually understand that he was only trolling T'Challa when he made that vegetarian claim. And that's the end of our video. Did you enjoy it? Did you notice any other plot holes in Black Panther? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And the number of times Kevin Feige randomly appeared was, well, we hope you had fun counting. Bye for now.